Yeah. Time to bring the bass dirt. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Wait, shut up. Hey, on my mama.
Let's
Him with the flex.
Oh,
I like that. Him with the flex.
what's good in the hood, guys? Good morning. It's Monday. I'm Flex. You know,
I'm Marcelis.
It's your boy,
MF Comedy.
It's your boy. Every time I see your videos, I'm like, skip. Every time I see your boy, I'm like, skip.
Nick Larson reminds me that I am definitely 23 years old and full of joy, jolly, and MF Comedy.
MF Comedy.
Anyways, this is a What's Good in the Hood morning podcast show, and today's special guest is Nick Larson.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
For those of you guys who don't know, he's a stand-up comedian in the Stockton area. He's one of 9 of the Deaf Puppies, which is a comedy boy band group in the 209.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. It is.
Yeah,
It is. They're like the what is
Just
it?
not very handsome. I mean, well, me, but everybody else not.
You guys have a little bit of something for everybody in your group. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You guys
Well, I mean,
different
I always say stronger in numbers. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing better that you could do as a comedian than hang out with peers. Because you bounce ideas off of each other, you know, and then you're making your material stronger. So, get your groups, hang out with people, always hang out with other comics, especially comics that are veterans, and then like get in there and find out like what are they doing, why are they successful, and then
try what works for you, this, etc. So, for those of you guys who don't know, I met Nick Larson for the first time.
Whiskey Barrel Tavern.
Yep, Whiskey Barrel Tavern.
Stockton.
This was last
2 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
How long have you
And
been
it was my
Stockton?
first feature act.
Uh-huh.
Because I was like 2.5 years into comedy, and I was transitioning from like open mic to being like 20 minute sets, you know what I'm saying? So it was lots of fun. I had a decent set. And then afterwards, like, I linked with you.
I was like, this dude's so energetic. It was like a lot of moves. I was like, he's copying my stuff right now. It was like a lot of like this.
Yeah, we do have a lot of similar styles as far as
It was
moving.
like a lot of butt movement. You know, I was like, look at this guy. I'll show him how to do a set right now.
And that's when I got to know you. And through that, I knew that you're one of the only, like, kind of like in Stockton, you're way ahead. You're like 3 years ahead, but in Stockton, you're one of the people who are active. You're active Stockton comedian. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not only that, but you're into that lane of comedy and also photography. So you do like all the comedians' headshots. You do all of their videos. So. And then you also podcast. You've been podcasting for 5 years. So
everything I do is just a side hustle.
I do want to touch back on something for people who don't know what was it, Deaf Puppies?
Deaf Puppies, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so
Deaf
can we
Puppies
touch on
is
that?
my comedy group. So it's a comedy group. Our founder, if you like to say, is Chris Teixeira out of Manteca. He's been doing comedy for a minute. He actually stole a deaf puppy. So the puppy is actually deaf. It's an actual dog. Okay. So I guess the people that were the people that had the dog originally, they were going to put it down because it was deaf.
Right.
And he stole it. He was like, no. So he stole the dog. And it was just like, you call it Banshee. So it's her Banshee. It's her deaf puppy. And then it just started as a. It just started as like, you know, when you're on Facebook on Messenger. And it's just your group, and you kind of call your group something, so you know who you're talking with. We called it the Deaf Puppies, so we all know who we were talking to. And then from
Was it
there,
something that started as like a couple of guys and then
yeah. There was like it was like 4 of us, and it was 5 of us, and then we started just gradually. Once we became like a comedy group, because people when we would go out into the scene like Sacramento and stuff, people would call us Deaf Puppies because that's what we would refer us to. And they were like, you guys are like a comedy group. I'm like, yeah, pretty much, I guess. So we started recruiting people that we thought were like good, you know, and we wanted to be a part of our group. So so it started with Chris Teixeira was the original, Anthony K. They do the Pretending to Care podcast. And then Sal Trujillo was my co-host for one of my best friends in comedy.
I like the one of my this.
Yeah, this is listening, you know, with a smile on his face. Yeah, we do the Joking Off podcast, that's on iTunes, and then Jason Sohn. So that was like the original group. And then we brought in Connor Martin out of Turlock, and then Taylor Evans out of Turlock, Andre Morton, he was originally from Turlock too, and then now it's AJ DeMello is the last one. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice.
Wait,
nice
you just
little
went
group.
through all 9? You said a little.
That was 8, and then with me though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my bad, I missed it. I could swore that. What's his name? Marcus.
No, Marcus, no.
No, he hasn't. Yo, he's still going to the
Yeah, he
Ace.
graduated.
He's still going to the Ace.
We gotta see him kill it all the time.
No, I'm curious.
Actually, no, to be honest, I don't know if we're gonna be adding to the group. I think it's good how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it just becomes like a frat thing, you know? And I don't want it to be a frat thing. Let's just be a comedy group and not have a giant entity. It's not, just keep it small, keep it simple.
Okay, nice. So.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I did have a question though, as far as like, what was some of the biggest events or projects that you guys have done so far as a group of 9 since you guys have grown?
As an event, we do the Lucky Fest every year.
Where's that?
That's in Modesto.
Oh, okay.
Lucky Fest is a huge event.
Mm-hmm.
So we usually always have a booth.
I seen you guys there this year. I seen you
Yeah.
guys at the Lucky Fest.
Oh, you went?
I couldn't make it. I think I had a
hosted
gig.
the rap stage.
But yeah, I mean, we're just constantly getting venues. So that's what we're trying to do. Every time we do a show, we label it Deaf Puppies Present. So that way everybody knows that.
Yeah, put your name on it. Yeah,
exactly.
this is who we are.
Exactly.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
Like
So
that.
and we're gonna try to do something in Manteca at Rookies.
Mhm.
I don't know if I think it's like a Strike Zone or
I
something like
have no
that.
idea.
They have a bar that's attached to it, and it's huge.
Yeah,
So we're
I know
gonna
exactly
try
what you're talking about.
We're gonna try to put a big show, and we want to get at least 200 people out.
Oh, so
Yeah. So that's gonna be cool. So that's what we're just trying to do, just trying to put on big shows, and we're gonna try to do advertisement with Cat Country. Get a little radio advertisement, try to do something like that, make it big.
And you said that you also did podcasting.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing Joking Off podcast for 5 years now. I think we just hit 5 years last month.
Was
been
it
an
something
adventure.
that you had wanted to do like just on your own, or something that you all collectively were like, oh, this is something that would be good for us?
No, you know what? I've been listening to. I don't think podcasts were big, like huge back in
No.
five
You
six
say
years.
5 years ago, and I'm like, oh, that's a long time, because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people didn't even start listening to podcasts until the last year or so.
Mhm. There weren't a whole bunch of podcasts around. I think I used to listen to Adam Carolla. I think he started like 7 years ago or 8 years ago. And then Joe Rogan's. That's about it, you know? And we were, I had no plans to do it by myself. But once I linked up with Sabol Trujillo, find him online, all right? He's a very funny comedian. We were just like, you know, what's the most original thing that you could do? Well, let's start a podcast. It's very unoriginal. Just to do it, just to get your ideas out. I think to do a podcast is the best thing for just being on a microphone consistently and not just having to be in front of a crowd, but you're still getting your ideas out and they're still going out somewhere. It's like doing your set, like you do an open mic and you record your set, just put the audio on and you listen back to it. Because you're flowing with another person, right? And then you're getting ideas, you're like, oh, you know what, I could turn that into a bit. And then that's what you got from your podcast. So it's entertaining for other people to listen to, but it's also helpful for you. You know what I mean? So you're on the mic, you're constantly on the mic, you're learning how to verbalize, really. Because you get rid of all the ums and the uhs and the fillers that you don't really need. Like when you listen to a broadcaster, they don't do that kind of stuff. It's like very sharp, you know? There's no, anyways, this next segment, no, it's so professional. And then you learn that, eventually you learn that on the mic, just by podcasting.
Now, how long, or what sparked your interest in comedy and just broadcasting, podcasting, like just, you talk a lot about like speaking, and what kind of like led you into like that?
I'll start with comedy.
Yeah.
My stepdad was hilarious. My stepdad was so funny when it was him and my uncle together. Like I said, when you're with a buddy, you know, and you're just bouncing off ideas, and you're like, you guys are playing off of each other, and you guys are just getting funnier and funnier. That's how.
It's like my relationship with my sister. Like,
yeah, that's how my dad and his brother were, and so we would just be cracking up in the house. And I just remember my aunt, because I think there's 4 siblings. My aunt would just be crying. She'd literally be in tears. She was laughing so hard. That's how funny they were, you know. So I grew up around that. I grew up around being around funny people. This funny person that everybody's like, you should be a comedian. And I grew up listening to that. You should be a comedian. You should be a comedian.
When did you realize you were funny? Like you were like,
well, I'd always been a goofball. I was good in school. I never got in trouble. Like everybody's like, were you the class clown? I was never the class clown.
No.
I hated to get in trouble. Every once in a while I would say something funny, but I didn't want to get in trouble. I hated that. That was
really quick, you went to high school here in Stockton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to Bear Creek and then I went to Lakeland. I think every like elementary, middle school, high school, and college, I went to 2 schools, each one.
Really?
Yeah. 2 elementaries, 2 middle schools, 2 high schools, and 2 colleges.
I've been to 7 schools. Like just building up education.
Yeah, I travel a lot, whatever. I'm out there.
But yeah, you said that you had always been a goofball.
Yeah. And I try to make my dad laugh because he was the funny guy. So I was like, if I can make him laugh, then you know, I'm funny too. You know what I mean? So I tried to do that. But then he got sick, and so it was like this whole dark period. And then he passed away when I was 16. And so I went through a dark period in my life, like a couple of years, where I just was kind of like sheltered off. I didn't really want to talk to people. A lot of people that see me now from high school, they're like, I don't think I've ever listened to you say any words or.
They're like, who are you?
Yeah.
Who is this Nick Larson?
Now. I was like, no, I mean, if you were a close friend of mine, then you would know. But if it was after that time, like from 16 until like 18, 19, then I didn't really talk to people because I was just in that dark place.
So what gave you that jump to be like, get on stage?
Yeah.
I always, every time I go somewhere, if I was hanging out with friends, if I was at a job, I was always the funny guy. I was always trying to make people laugh. Like that was my way to get out of that dark period, was to just constantly be funny. If I was making people laugh, I was making myself feel better. You know, and watching them laugh, that's making me smile. That's filling that void.
Good.
You know what I mean? And my last job, I was at Coca-Cola. I was a merchandiser. I worked there for like 7 years. I would go in and we'd get our schedule at like 5:30 or 5 in the morning, and they'd be like, all right, get your wrap. I would be there and I would just be cracking them up, and they'd be like, oh, okay, it's 6 o'clock. All right, you gotta go. You gotta go. So yeah, so I learned that's like at school. You know what I mean? Because like that gave me extra time to wake up before my shift, and then to get out. And then a lot of the people were like, you should probably be a comedian, you know.
I want to hear about your first event. Like, how did that?
One of the guys at Coca-Cola was like, "Hey, I was on my route and I saw that they had an open mic over here in Lodi, and it was O'Reilly's. O'Reilly's on I think it was on Cherokee. It's not there anymore.
O'Reilly's like a bar or
Not the bar.
I formed some places, but definitely you taught me.
Yeah, he's like, I'm everywhere. I'm in front of breaks. I don't care. I'll make jokes in front of auto parts. I don't care. No, it was O'Reilly's bar. It was O'Reilly's bar, and it was like I didn't know it was a competition. I thought it was just an open mic, you know. So I went over there, and that was my first. That was my first. No, actually, no, excuse me. Okay, I'll go back. I saw that there was a show, and it was like a week before I actually went out. And I went and I saw the people that were doing the show, and it was Jason, and it was Sabol, and a dude named Gavin Myers, who's a good friend of ours as well. He's the one who put it together. And so I talked to him after the show. I was like, hey, I heard you guys have like an open mic on like Tuesdays or something like that. He's like, yeah, come. It's like 8 o'clock. Come. And it's like a competition type thing, and an open mic in the beginning. And I was like, okay. And I tried to talk to like Sabol, and he like super Hollywood me. I was like, hey, that was a good set, man. And he was like, cool. And I just walked away. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be his friend eventually.
Okay, question real quick because I've only seen Sabol since the last 2 years, and he's been doing Shred. He's super funny. Have you seen him grow from that show?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so he was already 2 years in there at that show. And so I'm 2 years behind him. So I'm still trying to play catch up.
So if for those of you guys who don't know, there's a Stockton native comedian. So there's only like so many of us, you know what I'm saying? And then the other two, Thug Dork and Insane, are like
Insane Wayne, Reggie Thug Dork.
They're like way, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? In their own lanes.
I think Leon Gibson lives in Stockton now too, but he's originally from Oakland. So there's a few of us, but not all. I mean, it's not like Sacramento, where there's like dozens of comedians.
Yeah, just hundreds every day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just people are like, who are you? I've never seen you before.
I'm from Alaska.
Yeah.
Like,
all right.
Cool. How long you been in town? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Is it hot to you over here?
Right. Like it's cool, but going back to it, so he's super Hollywood you that first time.
Yeah. And then I don't remember if I said anything to Jason. I don't know if I talked to him or not. I just remember specifically talking to him because I thought it was hilarious. Do something. Not that Jason wasn't funny at the time, but I don't think it was. It was just like he walked by me and I was like, hey, good stuff, you know. He was like, cool, and just walked away. And then I went to the open mic and had all this stuff prepared for that week. I was like writing stuff down. I was like, oh, isn't this crazy when this happens? You know, like that new people stuff. Like that new comment was like, hey, isn't it crazy? Like the bathrooms, how like it has that thing and you can see people taking the poop and stuff. It was like very generic stuff like that, you know. And a lot of stuff about myself. And at the time I was like overweight, so I was talking about that kind of stuff and being addicted to food and stuff like that. And then I was like, all right. I'm not gonna write anything down. I think I have it. I have my 5-minute set. As soon as I got up, it was like, I did probably 3 minutes worth of material, and then you ever see like a short stop where they're like kicking their feet, you know, like hey better, like just kicking the dirt around. Like that's what I was doing the whole time, just like looking at the ground and trying to do my jokes. And it was very bad.
I still have the video. Show, huh?
I still have the video from that. And whenever I feel bad, I just watch that video and I'm like, at least I'm not like that anymore.
I love that you can sit back and watch it though, because I feel like there's a lot of people who do get that footage and they don't look back and reflect and see.
You have to look at it. You have no matter how badly you don't want to watch it, you have to watch it because you'll find something you either did right or you did wrong, and then you'll learn from that. You just take the information. Cringe a little.
I was gonna say, if you're cringing, you're learning. If you're cringing, you're growing.
Exactly.
That's how I see it.
And so just watch it. As much as you don't want to, just watch it. And get the information from it. That's all you're doing. It has nothing to do with the material, just listening to it. What are your cadences? How are you delivering it? What did you do wrong? All that kind of information you'll get from your video. And then the next time you'll be like, all right, I was doing this last time, so let's not do this anymore. Let's not, let's make more eye contact. You know, you're like looking around, you're not making eye contact, you're not engaging with the audience. So let's work on that, you know?
Now from that first show, how long did it take you to want to jump into a second show, or were you just immediately like?
Oh, from the first open mic,
yeah.
I immediately went. I found out when the next one was, and then they started doing one out in at Clarion in Modesto, and so that was my second set because I think that was
you said
like
it was
the
right
same.
after, like,
yeah, I think it was like the same week. So I was like, let's go.
I'm kicking around. This was my first one. Scary. I did 3 minutes, but you know what? I can do it again.
Yeah, I was like, it was scary as hell, but you know what? That adrenaline rush, that thrill of it was like, it was exciting. I was like, well.
I love that because you always mentioned that too. Like it's like a high.
I got it. I got the initial set over with. You know, that initial like jumping in point. So let's just roll with this. This is what I want to do. So let's just do the damn thing. So I'm like, I'm gonna do another mic. Yeah, exactly.
So now you're 5 years in, correct?
6, yeah.
6. So on that, from those first 2 to 6, how's your journey been? Dealing with other comics, maybe like shows, the business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The business.
The business of it, like the bookings, the other the scenes. Like, what's your California experience in that?
California experience.
Well, I know there's different scenes because I started in the St. Louis scene and it's way different than California.
How's it different?
Well, the people, you know how you go to SAC and like on Tuesdays we have we have classes at Laughs Unlimited that's like, oh, you guys could better yourself like this.
Yeah.
Everything is like,
I did the last workshop.
everything is uplifting, basically in SAC. I can't speak for Oakland and all the rest of the place, but in Sacramento, and I've watched it. I've came into the SAC scene because when I first got into it for like 5 months, it wasn't like that, and then everything just shifted. Like it's something about out here that just shifted. Even in Stockton, just shifted into everybody bringing everybody up. You know what I'm saying? Like that more so feel. So it's like super friendly, super.
I mean, for the most
like
part.
you know what I'm saying? Super like we can link up, be friends. There's like you know what I'm saying? What do you need? Let's do shops. Like let's work on this. Let's get this right for you. St. Louis is like everybody for themselves. Like,
Oh really?
Like you know what I'm saying? Clicked up a little bit more so like. It's like that, like
Yeah, I don't like that.
people.
So your experience hasn't been like that?
No. I've experienced some of that in certain places where it's kind of like cliquey, you know, it's kind of like high school. Essentially comedy is like high school, but you just kind of find the right people, you know, and just try to stay positive. You find like the new people that you feel are like, that have potential, that are serious about comedy, and you kind of try to help them out. And the people that are just dicking around, you're like, you do what you're gonna do. If you're gonna dick around, you're not gonna take it seriously. You're just taking up stage time. So figure out.
Hey Nick, so you have a question from one of the audience, Jasmine. She was just wondering, you know, what is your purpose of doing stand-up comedy, and like, what's your why? Like,
What's the purpose of it?
Yep.
The
And
purpose
what's your why?
solely is to make people laugh. That's what I want to do, especially in Stockton. Because everybody's like, ooh, Stockton. You know, I want to bring laughter to Stockton. You know, I want to do more shows here. I want to put on more shows. I want people to come out because I do Deliberation Room Friday nights. Not every Friday, but usually on a Friday night. And I'm not getting a whole lot of people out. I want people to come out. I want people to enjoy themselves. I want people to do something other than fight with each other. You know, because I mean, I was sitting in my car right there, and there was this dude in a wheelchair. He had one leg, and he was just pushing himself around. With one leg, and I was like, that dude is doing somewhere.
Like
he's doing something. You know what I mean? He may be homeless, but he's doing something with his life. You know, he's whatever his journey is. Somebody needs to do something to make this city better than it is. You know, so we don't have that bad rap. So when we go to like Sacramento, or we go to places outside of the city, they're like, ugh, Stockton. I heard about you guys. I don't like it.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
I agree.
No, I remember when I had
That's a great why.
moved out of the state for a little bit, and somebody was like, "Oh, you're from Stockton?"
Yeah.
I heard that's the second most dangerous city in the nation. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh."
Yeah, we're above Compton. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think we.
I don't look at statistics, so no. I just hear a bunch of them from everybody who's gathered it from wherever they gathered it. So it's like, okay. I do know now. You know what? Same with everybody's kind of different a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like 1 to 5 from average on
That's
average.
why I do that joke when I was like, I go to Oakland, and the guy's like, oh, you did that on purpose. Why? Get out, boo boo, get out.
I am also very curious because I am a dad girl myself too, but other than your dad being one of the biggest influencers for you to get into comedy, is there anybody else that kind of like inspired you?
Well, I mean, a lot of comedians. As soon as I got into comedy, you know, because I used to watch a lot of Jerry Lewis movies and stuff like that, you know, and then I can't remember who the first comedian I saw, but I remember. You remember the Napster days?
No.
Yeah, you guys are so young. How old are you?
22.
Oh, so you guys, fresh out of college.
Let's get one of the older guys in here. Let's get an older guy.
I remember the Napster.
Okay, thank you, Bill. I appreciate
For
it.
sake of this explanation.
I was like, listen up, my children, all right?
Literally.
Okay, so back in the day before Spotify, you had to download stuff. It was like, it was still like illegal download.
Yeah, I remember LimeWire.
Yeah.
I know LimeWire.
Napster did start sparked that trend.
Yeah.
That live okay, cool.
And that was like when you were downloading things that you didn't know you were downloading. You know, it was just like a random file, and it just had like a name. You're like, well, hopefully this isn't a virus. You know? And so I think one of the first people. Oh, no, okay. I used to watch Comedy Central all the time, and there used to be this show called Make Me Laugh. All right, so it was a game show, and the people used to have to sit in the chair for a whole minute and not laugh, and the comedians would come and they would be funny, and they would be sitting there, and the longer they went without laughing, the more money they got.
Oh.
And there was do you know
That
Pablo
sounds like
Francisco
today's
is?
trying not to laugh.
Pablo Francisco, he was always like the secret weapon. Like they would get through the comics, and then he would come out and like, all right, this is double. If you could get through his set without laughing, then you get like double the money. And then he would come out and he would do like his Arnold and stuff, like, all right, come on, we got to get out of here, you know? And they would always bust up and like, this dude is hilarious, I gotta know who this person is. So it was like searching who is this guy? So Pablo Francisco was one of the first people that I saw. And then that was my way into like finding other comedians, like who is this person? And then like, oh, there's this person too. So I think the second person that I found was George Lopez. So I started downloading clips of George Lopez, it's just audio, you know? And just like, oh, this guy's hilarious. And so yeah, that started that trend. Is just like more comedians, who else is it? And then it was like Fluffy, you know, Gabriel Iglesias. Yeah, and just Paul Rodriguez, which was cool because I got to open for that guy and just to talk to him. And he's been in all these movies and stuff, and like to pick his brain. Yeah, it was really cool.
Who do you think your style matches most, or do you think like you're unique?
I think I'm
like entirely
if I had to
different
say,
from what you've seen.
like every comedian is like, I'm unique, girl. I don't know what you're talking about. I am my own individual.
But you know, like,
I
if we
think
keep
it's
it
a
real,
cross
like,
between like Pablo Francisco and Kevin Hart. You know, it's like that.
I like that.
It's kind of hard to answer because there's styles.
That's what I mean. Like
energetic. And then it's like a relaxed, and then there's dry. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know, it definitely makes sense, but there's like a style because some people are just like dry humor. What's the example? A joke of some dry shit.
Dry
like somebody would just get on stage and be like, I killed my puppy yesterday.
Oh, that's dark humor.
Or
dark
humor, dry.
And
Like, there's different styles. Like I would say you definitely, as watching you, I would say.
Well, it's like Mitch Hedberg, where he's like very, very monotone, and it's just like one-liners.
Yeah.
You know? And there's another comic too. I forget his name. I'll figure it out later. But he's the same way. He's monotone, and it was like one-liners. He's very monotone.
What would you call your style?
My style is just animated. Just animated.
Because you said that you guys have little like butt movements,
yeah.
right?
I act out stuff because I want it to be visually compelling too, not just the jokes. So I'm putting everything together. You know, so if you're not looking at my face, I'm doing a weird face, then the words will get you too. You know, so I want it to be a complete pack. It's the movie. You know?
It's the movie.
It's the movie. It's not just the music. It's the movie to it. You know what I mean? I mean.
Now, is it something really quick that you would want to get into, like making movies and stuff?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Speaking on that,
I'm Nick Larson. This dude wants
talking on that, you're not only
I'm a good actor,
comedian, but you are a photographer / video editor / all of the media person. How long have you been doing that stuff?
I've been doing photography for I think 9 years.
9 years?
Yeah, I did it before I started doing comedy. But not professionally. I don't think I did it professionally until I actually started comedy because I quit my job and I was like, looks like I'm gonna have to do something.
Now, did photography start as something that you were like, oh, it's gonna be a career, or something that was just like a hobby for you?
It was a hobby at first. When I was 18, I tried to do modeling. You know,
I
tried to do modeling. Yeah, I tried to do modeling.
Try to move.
I mean,
Try to humbly throw that out there.
You know, I do other things.
I got dad bod now, but whatever, it's cool. And I met a really cool photographer, and he showed me how to use a camera, and then I started editing his photos for him. So I learned editing, learned how to do Photoshop. So I've been doing Photoshop since I was 18. You know.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I really started shining. That's why when I make posters and I do like all the stuff, I'm Because I've been
too
doing
loud
it
for
forever,
it.
you know? And I wanted to be, I just wanted to take pictures. I'd rather take pictures. And then when Instagram came out, I was like, oh, look at this, a little platform.
platform,
Yeah, platform. Put flowers on and shit. So now that just started this, like, I'm gonna go around. When I was working at Coca-Cola, I used to stop and I used to see things and like stop on the side of the road and like take pictures and stuff.
With your phone or with the?
Yeah, with my phone, and I had another camera too. Like it wasn't anything special. I don't think it was until I started comedy when my lady bought me an actual camera.
Mm-hmm.
She bought me a little Sony. I was like, this is really nice. These takes really nice pictures. And then she was my model, you know. I'm like, all right, let's go over here, you know.
Stand by this tree.
Yeah.
Stand by this street sign.
So I'm like, oh, these look pretty nice. This is pretty nice. I started putting them out, and like people were like, yeah, really nice work. I was like, thank you.
You ever do it as like a side thing or like offer it as a service or
What's that?
like photography?
What back then?
No, just even now, like you just take pictures for somebody.
Oh, man.
It's
Yeah,
like, hey,
no,
can you-
yeah.
This dude is a hustler. Like
Yeah?
if we're at the punchline
He's doing
and
everything,
it's
huh?
an open mic or
Yeah.
something at the punchline and Nick is there, he'll record his set. Then he'll keep the shit up just to be like, hey, I'll get your set and edit it for $70. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait.
Well, that's pretty steep. Like,
Or whatever the case,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're out there hustling, and you're like, hey, you know what?
I already got the
Hey,
footage.
look, I get you some clean stuff. I actually got your whole thing. It's already ready. It's ready. It's already ready.
I got to walk
Here.
into the building too. It was like,
He like
yeah, no,
love
I'm
it.
a professional photographer. Like I do weddings and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because I had to figure it out when I quit Coca-Cola because I was making good money over there, but I was just breaking my back. I didn't like it because I really did hurt my back at that job.
Mhm.
I messed up I have like herniated discs, you know. So
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I should work here,
Mhm.
you know. And I was getting up at like 4 in the morning. I didn't want to do it anymore. I barely got up to this morning. I was like, I get an iced coffee and everything. I was walking around the park all the way over there so I could walk over here and wake up. And
I noticed that about a lot of us comedians, we like to do what we want.
As you were like, it's 9 a.m. I was like, why? Why so early? I was like, all right, I guess I'll get up.
It was
take
funny
the Sunday
because
school.
the Rise and Shine 209, it was 8 a.m. So
Yeah.
I was like, can you be there at 7:45? You know what I'm saying?
And I was like,
Oh.
nah.
And I thought it was funny that you're like, 9 a.m. I'm like, hey, this is better than
Yeah, it's better than nothing, I guess. It's better than
I could
nothing.
have got you in here an hour ago.
But yeah, so when I quit my job, I was like, well, I don't want to go back to a 9 to 5. I don't want to do a regular job, so I'm gonna figure out something. I have a skill. I know I'm good at taking photos, and so I just started. It's just like doing open mics. You progress, and you get
Yeah.
better, and you get better. You just keep practicing, And I would go on YouTube, and I would watch videos. I started buying like flashes and like stands for the flashes, and then like modifiers and stuff like that. Modifiers like when you have a flash, you put like an umbrella in front of it,
Right.
so it spreads out the light, and just figuring out lighting, you know, and then eventually just upgrading to better equipment, doing more jobs, putting money aside, getting better equipment. You know, I think a lot of people don't do that enough.
Equipment.
They
invest in
don't
equipment.
they don't invest in themselves.
Mhm.
They're like, oh, I don't know if I can afford that. Figure it out. You will figure it out.
Mhm.
Right? If your car breaks down, right, that money's got to go to that car. You'll figure it out later because you have to get to the next place,
Mhm.
right? You're not going to be like, oh, well, you know, I don't think I have the money. Just do it. Just get it over with. You'll make up the money. You will. You'll figure something out. Just invest in yourself.
Mhm.
So I would set aside money. Keep setting aside. I still have money set aside just in case. If my camera goes out, I have money set aside so I can buy a new camera. And even if I just want a new camera because the new stuff's coming out, and I feel like this is gonna improve my images, I'm gonna get that camera because that's what I need to do to stay ahead of the game.
Oh yeah.
That quality, and that's why I invested in the camera that I have. You see in the camera, it's a beast.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. You're.
It's a Nikon D800E. It's a 36 megapixel camera.
Oh yeah.
That's a $3,600 camera. You know?
Man.
Money
and then
you
the lens-
invest though.
And then the lens that I have on it is $1,200. And then I bought a boom mic that costs $120. And then a grip that holds an extra battery that was $60.
I gotta
So
see
it's
him
like
at
all
work.
these-
I gotta see him with all of his
Yeah,
like
all this
tools and
investment,
stuff.
yeah.
I gotta see it.
He like, I'm about to pump you up a little bit. You're
Gas
like,
him up. Dude,
gas him up.
Gas him up. I want to hear it.
Don't gaslight me though. Don't gaslight me.
It's
I
like,
mean, that was bad.
like, as far as like grinding as a comedian and then seeing you grind your photography, like, nobody's doing that in the scene. Like, nobody's hand to hand, like, hopping off stage to do their other, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, it started on, okay, this is done cool. We got the video for that, but now let's get on this craft, you know?
Yeah, well, that's what I feel like that's gonna propel me to the next level, is the work ethic.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna point at any comedians, but that's all I see is just comedians just going to do a set, and then they go sit down, and then they drink. They're getting hammered and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, you'll never see me doing that. Maybe after a show, like when it's a big show when there's nothing left to do, then I'm gonna, and somebody's like, hey, you were funny, let me buy you a drink. I'm not gonna say no. I'm like, oh yeah, bring it on. Let's get relaxed.
Yeah.
Do that, you know? But if there's work to be done, it will be done. If I can film somebody's like, hey, can you film me set? I'm like, of course I can. 40 bucks.
Yeah, not.
I was waiting for it.
What's going? Not only that, but it's like if you've made it to the point where if you join the Sacramento comedy scene, you've got to go to Nick Larson for headshots. Like you don't know about Nick, like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So it's like you're the guy for all of that because.
And I found out the other day, I did a workshop for Laughs Unlimited. I was talking about like headshots and videos and stuff like that, why you need them. And one of the guys was like, I'm glad I got pictures done because one of the promoters was like, if you don't have your Nick Larsons, then I can't work with you.
I like that.
Yeah, then you're not serious about this.
Yeah, you're not
serious. Nick Larson.
If you don't have your Nick Larson, you're not serious. Basically,
from doing that and from being out and constantly being at the clubs and so when you're going out to the clubs, I always tell people, make yourself seen, make yourself known, talk to all the staff, introduce yourself every time you go in. Every time you go in, you're very personable. All right, you're conversating with people, you're learning everybody's name. That way, the next time you go in, they're like, hey, what's up, Marcel? It's good to see you again, you know? And now you're in with the group. Okay, so by doing that, being at Punchline all the time, and then constantly hustling with my photos, the manager over there was like, hey, I saw your work. And she saw a poster that I did. And she's like, that poster was amazing. We have this idea about changing up the room. We're gonna start doing portraits for headliners, and we're gonna start changing out these photos, and we want you to do that. Oh.
Hold on now.
Sorry, what? You want me to do it and you're gonna pay me to come down and I get to meet national headliners? Yeah, I would love to do that. And from putting myself in that position, you know? It started from the beginning. There was this guy who was doing shows, I forget what his name is, but I would go and, cause he learned that I did video. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'll come and do video. And he was paying me to do video. And he was like, you're a comedian too, right? I was like, yeah. And he was like, you want to do 5? I was like, yeah. And then I started being at Punchline. I started doing sets at Punchline. Every time he would do a show at Punchline, Sacramento or San Francisco, I would go and I'd do video for him. And then he'd throw me out. You know what I mean? And this started getting to where it was like, all right, well, I'll give you longer time. You knock down the price a little bit. I'm like, okay, I don't care. Yeah, fuck it, let's do it. You know, and then now I'm seeing over there. I'm seeing at Punchline. People know who I am because I'm the guy who does video and I do sets.
Okay, well, we talk about Nick Larson, the comedian, the photographer, the guy who does all the podcasts, but who are you? Like, what gets you out of bed?
Person, you know.
What gets you out of bed, you know?
Money, you know, money.
Hey, real talk. Let's get to know.
I don't know. Who am I? I don't know. That's a tricky question.
Just mostly what gets you out of bed, you know, like you talk a lot about just wanting to make
this show
people
got me out
laugh.
of bed today.
And then this guy did that.
So obviously, like what gets you out of bed, I guess, is like what keeps you going. Like, what are your goals? Like, what are you into now? Like, what?
Yeah, my goal essentially is to make enough money to where my family doesn't have to work anymore. Like, I don't want my fiance to work anymore. I don't want my kids ever to have to work. I don't want my mom, my mother-in-law. I don't want these people to have to work anymore. I'm gonna make that much money to where I'm gonna buy a fucking cul-de-sac build houses and y'all live there and have fun. You know what I mean? That's what I want to do. I don't want my family to go through struggle. I don't want to do that. And then eventually when I get to that point and then I'm still making money, then I'm gonna start investing. Invest and then maybe come back to Stockton, invest in Stockton, try to help the downtown area get revamped and stuff like that, make the city nicer, invest in stuff for schools and stuff like that. That's what I want to do.
That's what's up. That's actually a great reason to wake up out of bed. What projects do you have right now? I know you said the one that you do for Punchline. Is that actively something you're doing at the moment?
Yeah. So if you go to Punchline and you look outside, they started to print them out and then post them on the windows. So you'll see my headshots outside. It's dope.
Yeah,
it's dope. And then I haven't been there for like 3 weeks though. So I'm hoping when I go in, they'll have the interior because they have like not headshots but stage shots of like old comedians. Like they have like Dave Chappelle from the 90s, Fluffy from the 90s. So they're like these old images. And so they're replacing some of them. They're going to keep up like Fluffy and Dave Chappelle. And they're going to take it down and they're going to put up mine. Or like maybe like Eliza, Joey Diaz, and so those are going to be like, that's me up there. I'm a part of this club now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's my biggest thing that I'm proud of right now.
For photography?
Yeah.
And then as far as comedy, where are you at with that? Are you headlining it?
Yeah, I'm doing one night headliners.
So
because I have that time now. And I'm comfortable on stage where I could be up there and just, because I do a lot of crowd work.
First and foremost, I just want to inform everybody, because we're speaking a different lingo now. As far as comedy, you start off like kind of doing 5-minute sets, 5-minute sets. 5-minute sets, and then you build like 10. I can do 10 now. I can do 10. Then it's like, oh, I got 15. And then once you get to like a solid 25, you could feature. And feature, that's when you can start to make
a good 25.
Yeah, you can start to make money. But that's why I said solid.
Yeah,
people need to hear that, like solid 25.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's a lot of people like, oh, I could do an hour. I'm like, you were 6 months in. You have an hour. Maybe you could talk for half an hour. But like, how much of that is funny?
Yeah, exactly.
It has to be a funny hour, not 15 minutes of it is funny, and then the rest of the time you're just
like this.
Yeah, exactly.
It has to be more like this, or maybe even this.
Yeah.
This would accept. This
That's
would be
accepted. I try to build my set to where everything's the same. I don't want to have like a crescendo at the end. I want all the jokes to be as strong as the last. Because they're always like, oh, my closer. I'm like, no, every joke could be a closer. But I string mine together so like there's a reason for the next joke to come. It's like a chain link, So there's the next joke and the next joke, and I don't get lost in my set because I know what's coming.
You know the story.
It flows together. That's why I start with the Stockton material, and then it goes into being Mexican, and that goes into being a relationship, and then you're the kids.
You're well organized with your shit. What's called? So then you get the 25 minutes in your feature act, which that's the realm I'm in. I'm not headlining yet. Like I could do a solid 20. You know what I'm saying? And that's the first time I met you. I did. That was like a solid 17. Cool. It was a cool 17, and that was my first time doing that. So then ever since then, I just been keep doing 20 and 25 minutes, but I haven't like done a 35, like a 40, nothing like that.
Just constantly writing.
Yeah.
Constantly writing and coming up with that new joke, that new fire joke. You're like, oh, this one's a hitter right here. And then you add that, you figure out where to put it.
I think all comedians, their goal is to be a headliner. So you are 6 years in and you have reached that goal. And when did you reach that?
I think a couple of years ago I did 45 minutes. And I was like, well, I know I could do it, and it was a consistent set. It was funny, I mean, mostly it was crowd work, but I'm really good at that because that's where I started.
Yeah. So would you bank off of that in your head? Like if you got 30, you're like, oh, I'm gonna do 8 at least crowd work. Like you already bank off that. Okay, 10 could be just crowd.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're closing it out, it's pretty essentially your show. They're coming to see you, so just have fun with the crowd. And you're giving them an experience. If I had an hour of just solid material, I would still do crowd work because that's what I'm comfortable doing. I love doing it. I love talking to people and then coming up with stuff.
Being in
and then if you look at my Instagram, that's all I post.
You love
That way I'm
engagement.
not, yeah, and that way also I'm not burning material. That way when people come, they're like, oh, I already saw the joke.
Yeah.
So, it's funny when you do it on the video.
I've
You know?
heard this before.
Yeah. That they don't hear you.
In that case, in your mind, you kind of feel obligated, like, this is being recorded. I need to get some good shit in real quick.
No, not necessarily.
You just go with the flow.
Yeah, I just go with the flow. Because if nothing works that night, then I don't post anything. So it's okay, Then I'll just post pictures.
Yeah.
That's why I also film all of my sets. That way I can see what worked, Because even if you do crowd work, right, and you have that riff that works, you're like, oh, I just came up with a solid riff, you could save that for later,
Mhm.
Now it's planned crowd work.
Mhm.
Now you have that in your holster, you know what I mean? Now the next time that situation comes up, you did that like a few months ago, and then now it looks natural.
Yeah.
It looks like, it looks like it's
Yeah.
off the cuff. But most of the time I try to keep everything off the cuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's fun.
So 6 years in, already headlining. Where do you go from there?
I mean, one night headliners is not necessarily headlining, I mean, if you're gonna say headliners, that's weekend type of, but
well, I mean,
if you could get
started
those
that
gigs,
journey,
no,
you know,
that's what I'm trying to market myself as, like a headliner, one night headliner, at places that small venues like bars and things like that. That way you can make that money, because I want the extra money. Because you're going to be making way more money as a headliner than you are as a feature or an opener. So if I have the time, I know I can entertain people for an hour. I'm going to be like, hey, yeah, let me headline your place. I want to get that extra money. If it's between making $20 like gas money and making $250, I'm gonna take the $250 all the time.
So is it a goal for you to become the headliner and then just get constantly booked?
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then travel the world.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Oh, hell yeah.
Kevin hard it up or what?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, hard it up.
Irresponsible tool right there.
You want to?
Yeah, I want to do that. That's
You want
what
to
I
Kevin
wanna
hard
do.
it up.
I love the travel. I don't know about you, but I love the travel part. I don't necessarily love the driving part right now, but just being in other places, being in hotels and stuff like that, that shit's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. And I
I
always make
was the only one
videos.
who really liked hotels. I'm glad you
I love
pointed out-
hotels.
I love hotels.
I turn on all the lights, I turn the AC on, the bathroom
I
lights
took
on.
a whole
Oh, man.
I take the best bath.
Yeah, because at home I'm like, turn off the lights. What are you doing with this? Turn the AC off. It's plenty cold in here. It's like money saving mode at home, but when I go to the hotel, I'm like, just AC full blast. So I just leave my underwear.
I love
Like,
it.
yeah,
It's
this is
great.
amazing.
There's always a pool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, jacuzzi tub. And then
Somebody
here all
cleans it up
night.
for you.
Yeah, we're here all night.
And then yeah, hotels are the shit, man. Oh my god. I'm glad we just got that out the way.
Yeah, get
I love
that.
Just get that out, send that out there.
Dude, if I had money, I was like a bachelor, dude. I'd just be living in hotels. You got like room service, you got a maid, everything. I don't even have to do anything.
I hear you. So as far as being on the other end, the business side of comedy, how long have you been doing that for?
The business side, like what do you mean?
For show production, booking.
You know what? I'm not sure, but that's kind of something you just kind of jump into as you're going along and you're trying to get booked. I don't necessarily. I know a lot of comedians, they like send out emails and stuff and get booked like regularly. I try to keep it balanced because I have I have a fiance, I have 2 kids, so I don't want to be gone all the time. Especially because I do photography, so it's like there's photography and there's comedy. Those two put together, I'm gone a lot. So I try to only be booked for comedy when the money is good. I can't really do free shows. I don't want to do free shows. I'll do, and if it's at least gas money, then I'll do it. That way I'm not telling my fiance like, hey, I'm gonna go do this show. I'm gonna be gone for 4 hours, and what are you making? Nothing. I'm like, oh, really?
What are you coming home with?
Yeah.
Why are you gonna wasting your time?
Is that right? Is that right? Yeah, you better be doing something. You sell your body or something. Come home with money.
Okay, so then.
But yeah, so then you figure what is it you want? Do you want to constantly be booked? You're gonna have to send out emails, find venues where you feel like they have a good following, and you could get people out and then figure out what you want to do as far as building the show. If you want to do the door or you want to get a budget, right? And figure out what you want to make. You know what I'm saying?
And I feel like you give out a lot of insight just in this one interview. I feel like you've given out a lot of insight. But I think we're like close to wrapping it up, so I do want to know what is the
This isn't 3 hours?
biggest.
Are we?
I think
Well,
we're
we
getting.
can go 3 hours if you want. There's a few questions I want to ask too
Yeah,
before
so
we
I
wrap
want to make
up,
sure we
too.
get in like all of our last questions. So mine was just, I know we've got a lot of insight out, but if there's one piece of advice that you can share to up and coming comedians or even Marcelis here, like I think everybody would love to hear that.
I think I've kind of already gone through them, but I'm gonna put everything together. If you're starting out, be around like-minded individuals, right? Because you're gonna have your way of doing comedy. You have your thought process, right? If you can find somebody else that also has that thought process, because you're not gonna change for somebody. You're not gonna start doing one-liners. You're Marcelis. So if you find somebody who's got like on the same rhythm as you, you hang out with that person, you guys bounce ideas off of each other, all right? That way you're building stronger material because he's gonna look at your set, you're gonna look at his set, you're like, hey, I got a tag for you. And a tag is just essentially another punchline to add to the joke. So when you're doing the beats, you're doing, you know, your opening, and then you have tags along to keep it funny, and then a punchline. What do you want them to laugh at? You know, what is the closing of the joke? What is the end of the joke that you want them to laugh at? So the tags are along the way, like funny things that you could add to it. So you're helping somebody add to your joke. They're helping you add to a joke. Your material is now stronger. So hang out with other comedians. Find people that you like, you know, that are funny, that you find funny. Be around those people. And then when you're going to places, be seen. Go to the clubs. If you don't have anything to do, hang out. Hang out. I can't necessarily hang out, but I would like to. But when I do go and I'm doing a job, I'm making sure I'm talking to everybody. Absolutely everybody. I'm knowing everybody. I know everybody's name. I'm being likable.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you have to do. You have to network in this business. It goes for everything. Networking is the most essential thing that you could do, you know, because you're branching off. If there's no networking, all it is a hub. This is not going anywhere. You're just here. You're centralized. There's no branching out. If you imagine if McDonald's didn't branch out, they're not building other places. This is your connections. You're building avenues for yourself. You're branching off. So you're building relationships. You go somewhere else and somebody's like, hey, I know a guy in Stockton. He's cool. He hosts the What's Good in the Hood. He's a really cool guy. I think he's good for the show. And now you have a gig because you met somebody. You know, meet as many people as you can. Be seen inside those clubs. Hang out inside the clubs. Especially the managers. Get to know the managers. Always take advice. I hate when I see comics and like try to give them a tag or something. They're like, oh, yeah, it's cool, and they kind of like shrug it off. You can't be that way. If you're thinking that your way is the only way of doing things, then you're not going to progress. You need to be pliable. If you're not being pliable, exactly. If clay wasn't pliable, you're not creating anything. You know, you can't sculpt. So you have to be that. You have to be able to take in information and utilize that information for your own good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So don't be stubborn. Don't be stubborn with thinking that you're already on top of the game. Because you're not. You'll never. I'm only 6 years in. I feel like I'm a pretty good comedian. You know, I know I can entertain people, but I know there's always another step. There's always something to learn and to get better, to be more comfortable, you know. And as far as being on stage too, I think engagement is really important. Like if you're just looking around, you're doing your material, but you're looking around, you're not looking at the audience, they lose interest because they feel like you're not invested in the material, and you're just saying the material. You're not like being the material. You're not living the material. Then they're just gonna stare at you, you know. So engagement, I always say, make eye contact with everybody. Look at people, because when you do look at people, they're like, oh, he's looking at me. What is he gonna say next? You know, especially because I do crowd work. So when I'm pointing people out and talking to them, now when I look somewhere else, they're like,
He's gonna get me. He's gonna get me. He's gonna
You
get
know,
me.
now they have to pay attention to what you're saying. You know, but if you're just like kind of looking around and stuff, then they're just gonna get bored.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
You guys had
Did you see
your
that
question.
question?
Jerry?
Yeah. So part of your comedic and photography grind, how much of the work you do, obviously you're passionate about comedy and photography, how much of the work you do is stuff you just don't want to do but you know it's necessary? So I would say percentage wise, like what, half the time you're doing stuff that you don't want to do but you know you have to do it to get to the angle? Like how much of it is the grind of it, would you
Well,
say?
I mean, most of photography is the grind, you know? I mean, if I had the option, I would just be a comedian who does portraits. I love doing portraits.
Okay.
That's my favorite part of it.
Mhm.
I like doing weddings. That's cool because, I mean, I'm a fan of beautiful images. You know, if I could be that person that creates that beautiful image, then hell yeah, that's my work. I created that.
Right.
Now I have something to be proud of. On my business card, if you look at my my photography business card, that's my most favorite image. Is a wedding that I did in LA. I'm like, I did that image. That's me. I look at that, I'm like,
It's such a good feeling
I
to
did
just be
that.
like,
That's
I
awesome.
did
That's
that.
how I look at them like, yeah, all right. Yeah, I know I can do stuff like that. You
Oh my
know,
God.
but if I had the choice, it would be strictly comedian, and I would like this is my vision.
Okay.
Right? I'm like a big comedian, but you have like these national headliners that are like, hey man, I need headshots. Like, look at that. And I'm doing headshots for everybody, all the national comedians,
Mhm.
and I know them on a personal level. You know what I'm saying? That's dope.
Yeah, that's
that's a
like when you
dope
posted that Burt Kreischer one. I was like,
yeah,
what?
man.
You
Yeah,
took
yeah.
pictures of it?
So my vision is I'm doing photos for Burt Kreischer, but we are friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm friends with Coco Diaz. I'm friends with Joe Rogan, and I'm doing all their photos. And like I'm the comedian who does photos. You know what I'm saying? That would be dope. And then I mean, don't get me wrong, doing like portrait or not portrait, but like weddings and like family photos, like that's all fine and dandy. I make good money off of that. But if I didn't have to do that, I probably wouldn't do that.
But you
know?
need to.
But I need
to survive.
to survive because that's how I pay my bills. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not passionate about it,
Right.
because I always do stuff 100%. If I'm gonna do something, that's my work. That's my ass on the line.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make sure it looks the best that it's gonna be. I'm not gonna half-ass anything. Even though I'm not crazy about doing like family portraits, like, oh, I have like 8 dogs, can you take pictures of my dogs? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. But I'm still gonna fucking kill it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly.
I'm still gonna make
It's
sure
gonna be the best pictures of your
yeah.
8 puppies.
Yeah, and I will invest the time in it. And I did do photos for somebody, and they had like 3 dogs,
Uh-huh.
and I took the individual photos of their dogs, and I photoshopped them all together, and that shit looked dope. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I make sure it looks natural. So I'll take the time to do it to make sure that my work is on par with everything else.
Right. Yeah, because there's this big misconception that I think people are catching on to as far as like, if you do something that you love, you don't have to work a day in your life.
Yeah,
It's true to a certain
to
extent,
an extent, yeah.
but even though you're doing something you love, there's still work required
Exactly.
that you don't want to do, but it's part of it.
Yeah,
Right?
unless you're like big kahuna and you have like assistants and stuff that are doing your bookings. You're
Right,
gonna have to
yeah.
do the bookings for those things.
But you work up to that.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen overnight. So there's
Exactly.
still the passion for something that you're doing, something you love, but still there's still parts of that
Yeah.
that you hate, but you know you just gotta do.
Yeah.
And that's
there
kind of like,
will always be that.
yeah, and
Because-
so there's a lot of people out there that I think, especially the younger generations, like that is kind of like the mantra now, is like do something that you love, that you're passionate about, and you could do that, but they forget there's still that hustle and grind
Yeah.
required to pursue that.
There will always be that.
Always,
There will
right?
always
And
be
no
the
matter
hustle
what
to
you
do
do,
it.
and I think I just want to make sure that message gets across that you could do something that you're passionate about, but there is the hustle, the grind required to get there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but the thing about that is I think it's less of a blow. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
You're more willing to do it because you are doing something that you love. You're not working for somebody else. You know what I mean? you're working for yourself, you're making your own moves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, but this
That's
is
what
gonna
makes
get me
it.
the
That's
next thing.
what makes you want to do it.
Exactly. And that's the most important thing is to just make sure that you're not slacking off. You're never slacking off, because if you're slacking off, somebody else is doing it. Somebody else is making that money, and now because you're sitting on the couch, you're not doing anything. They're making the money, and you're sitting on the couch eating Cheetos. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
You're your own cog, you know, your own machine, your own entity. You're trying to get things in motion, all right? And if you're not doing that, you're not growing.
Right.
There will never be growth if you're stagnant. You know what I'm saying? It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. So you always have to stay in motion. You always have to be making moves that's gonna propel your career, no matter what it is. This is propelling your career. It's getting you seen. You're doing things. You're partnered up with them now. They're branching out. They're helping your brand. You're helping their brand. You guys are going out. You know what I mean? You're becoming larger because you're all networking. You guys didn't know each other, what? A few
months ago.
You didn't know each other, right?
Yeah.
But now people know the Hood app, you know, and then I'm telling people on my podcast, now people know you more. People are going to know you more because now that you're on my feed, right? And they're like, who's this Marcelis dude? And they're going to start looking at your stuff. And maybe you made a fan because people saw your name.
Oh.
You know, so if you didn't do this, who knows you, right?
Exactly.
Who knows your name? Nobody. Because you're just on the couch. You're not being seen. There's a lot of comedians that I tell. There's a comedian that's been on TV and stuff, and he is not on social media, and I have to, I berate him every time. I'm like, bro, you get on social media immediately. You could be huge, but you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind. That's all. That's there for a reason. Out of sight, out of mind. If you're not on there, you're making videos every day. People see you, right? If you didn't make videos, they have 100, 200, 300 other people that they're gonna see, and they forgot about you, you know. And they're like, oh, they saw you, like, oh shit, Marcelis, what is he doing? I haven't seen him for a minute. Because they forgot about you, because you're not being seen.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are making posts every day.
Yeah, true.
You
We're
have
trying
be
to.
seen. Yeah.
And that's the whole purpose of this.
Even if
this
it's one
podcast.
post a day.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of this podcast is to broaden everyone's network.
Yeah.
And when you talked about that, like you got to put yourself out there. Network is key because in order to grow, like more people got to know about you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you know, everybody who's on top of the game, everybody who's been up there, has done nothing but network.
Right.
They've done nothing but make connections. They didn't get there out of the blue. They didn't wake up one day and be a famous comedian. Kevin Hart, nobody knew who Kevin Hart was for 15 years, right?
And
all of a
he's
sudden
been
he
around.
blew up.
Yeah.
But and during that time, he was making those connections. He was getting seen. That's how he made it on TV. That's how he did those sets where he's like, okay, well, he's like on Laughs and stuff like that. Like all these smaller venues, right? But he's on TV. Somebody's seeing him. He made that connection somehow. And by doing that, now more people know him. And then he does another thing on TV, and now more people know him. You know, so if you never make those connections, you're never gonna do that.
Yeah.
You're never gonna propel. You're never gonna go anywhere. You have to get out there.
I'm
That's
always
why-
going to refer back to this quote that I always say. I got it from a video, and this lady was like, work every day towards your dream or stay asleep and keep dreaming about it.
Yeah.
And so as I'm listening to you talk, I just keep thinking about that. Like, you're right, you have to work towards it, or there is going to be somebody else, 200 other comedians on Instagram that I'm going to find and watch, as opposed to that one guy who had made it on TV and I don't even know who he is. You know?
Yeah. I think I try to equate everything because I used to work at like these shitty jobs and everybody's trying to get a promotion. I always try to equate things to that. There's only one promotion and you have 10 people. Who's gonna get it? Are you gonna get it? Because if you want it, you fucking gotta work for it. Don't let somebody else take that promotion. So everything that you do is a promotion. You're trying to figure out how to get that promotion. How do I graduate? You know what I'm saying? You can't. Yeah, you can't stay.
His face, I know.
You have to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Pete.
Oh yeah, I pick up what you're putting down.
Mhm.
Do
We
you
got
have
the-
any other
we got
questions
the
from our
finger, so.
guests?
You guys good? You guys good?
So,
Yeah.
we're gonna wrap this up.
Cool. Best guest ever. I know, right?
We're gonna wrap this up with just thanking you for coming out and being
Oh,
on
no,
this
thanks
good
for having
hood, bro. It's always a good show with you, man. It's always good seeing you, first off.
Yeah.
And just hearing you speak this into life is great hearing, great refreshing in the morning. And like I said, thank you again for waking up early for us.
No problem.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for getting up this early
problem.
for us.
Yeah. No, I get up early often. I gotta take my son to school, but sometimes it's like I'd rather be sleeping.
All right, guys. This was
Can I
Mondays.
give,
What's
like,
good on the good?
Yeah.
My handles.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make it too long. Just go to jokemeoff.net and you'll find all of my podcast information. Follow me on Instagram at Nick Larson Comedy. If you guys need any photos done, Nick Larson Photography, and everything else is Nick Larson 85. Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, all Nick Larson 85. And that's it.
All right, tune in Wednesday for our next episode of What's Good in the Hood. Thanks, guys.
Wake shit up, ayy. On my mama, I can't make shit up, ayy. If I ain't a real boy, what you call it? I don't think you want no problems. Wake shit up, ayy. On my mama, I can't